Okay, folks, we're going to start our morning show on a high note because we got some depressing stories to talk about. I think it's only fair that we talk about this while the iron is still hot because things are going to get hot because the View seems to be triggered and annoyed about Joe Rogan and saying that we went from Walter Cronkite to this Joe Rogan guy who believes in dragons.
For a person,
Now,
yeah, this is
go
wild.
ahead, Nick. Go ahead.
No,
Go
I was
ahead.
just going to say, for a person whose name is Joy, she has no joy in her anymore.
No, nothing. Listen. I'm going to make a prediction. It's either sometime by next year, the View is shutting its doors. Okay, you have Joy, who is constantly on this anger warpath against anyone that's associated with Trump or supported Trump. You got Whoopi Goldberg and that situation with the bakery.
Whoopi Goldberg triggers me. I've never, honest to God, like, she lives rent free up here. She might even have a mortgage because I can't believe the person that I watched in Sister Act, Jumping Jack Flash, Ghost has become this clueless, like this out of touch.
Yeah,
maybe it's because she's working class now.
Well, it doesn't surprise me because a lot of these Hollywood people are insular. I mean, they forget where they come from, but otherwise, also maybe they're just showing us who they really are, and that's a bunch of clout-hungry egomaniacs that feel like their crap doesn't stink because the bakery people, like what happened in that bakery. I'm just breaking it down short. I mean, because that's a whole other story altogether. The machine wasn't working. Okay, it's understandable as a customer. You have purchased goods. My audience has purchased goods. And sometimes we go to a bakery or place where they say, hey, sorry, this thing isn't working or we're out of stock. It's reasonable. But for some reason, Whoopi decided to get triggered by that. And then you got Sonny Holston, who had to do a legal note correcting the situation surrounding Matt Gaetz. But this thing about Joe Rogan, everyone's attacking him because he has the most popular podcast. And he had an interview with a guy who was just talking about like the fossil record and dragons. So in order to understand how this whole thing got started, let's pull up this interview segment right here in which Joe Rogan is talking to a person about dragons. Goodness gracious, Cretaceous, dragons everywhere. So let's go ahead and pull this up because this seemed to have upset a lot of people on The View. So let's talk about this interview in particular. All right. So Forrest Gallant, I guess, who was on the Joe Rogan show, talked about a theory about dragons being real. So let's talk about
these kind of far out there ideas. How do you like this idea? There's a group of people that say that dragons were real, and I'll explain.
Ooh.
So around the same time period, so to speak, and I'm not one of these people, so I'm probably going to get the details wrong
like
a little
Matthew
bit.
McConaughey movie right
yeah,
now.
Seriously. But so around the same time period in China, South America, Africa, all these different Rome, all these places, images depicted people fighting dragons, right? And every dragon was slightly different, but it was all a giant scaly animal that could fly. So when you break that down, you think about the fact that large birds had a hard time being fossilized because their bones are so porous, right? So because bones, they have like hollowish bones, they break down very easily and they don't fossilize. So the group that says this, basically they're saying the evidence is the reason there's no fossils of dragons is because they had bird bones and they were actually very delicate animals. But a handful of these small population of these giant flying lizards existed and basically encompassed all these different countries where they all depicted fighting dragons in their own way, and they were all killed off by knights or whatever it is, and then didn't fossilize.
What?
So it's like the science is saying that if there were lizards big enough to fly around and eat people, they didn't have bones that could fossilize.
So
yeah. Now here for context again, look, maybe people of antiquity just felt like drawing giant reptiles, or either that, maybe they were confusing, maybe Komodo, I wouldn't say Komodo dragons, maybe in the East, Komodo dragons for dragons, or giant crocodiles or saltwater crocodiles as dragons. And look, things do preserve. I mean, there's the rarity of it, but nowhere in that video is Joe Rogan saying, I believe in dragons. I mean, it's an interesting theory. Nick, your thoughts?
I have a lot of thoughts. One, I don't think Joe Rogan was talking about Game of Thrones style dragons.
Yes.
But I think Joy and the people of The View were talking about Game of Thrones style dragons, and that's a disconnect. So I'm always shocked that the mainstream media or the women of the View, however you want to label this, are still doing the same types of smear tactics on the same people, just like they do with Trump, for a decade at this point. And all of a sudden they think this is the one that gets it. This is the one that sticks. Joe Rogan believes in dragons.
Dragons, fire-breathing dragons. And folks, you know,
show.
It is a clown show because it is a way to try and discredit Joe Rogan, but I think it's going to be water off a dragon's back, for Joe, because it's irrelevant. It just shows how desperate and petty many of these people in corporate media are. But you know, if let's humor the notion about the fossil record, because again, you know, obviously dinosaur fossil bones, you know, some of them were unearthed during antiquity, or either that during the medieval era. And it is understandable why some of the ancient civilizations would say, oh, this is a dragon. I mean, you had the ancients confusing woolly mammoth skulls as cyclops skulls. And, you know, that's probably what inspired the art, the creativity, because people are creative. And so thus an image of a fire-breathing monster facing off against a heroic knight or a son of a god, and saving the people. It is in our history. I mean, but all these stories get passed down, and there's been a lot of communication and word of mouth and art and literature being shared. I mean, not at the pace that we have in today, but the ancients did that. The ancient peoples did that. But, you know, even then, too, even looking at the fossil record, you know, prehistoric life, I mean, things were crazy. You know, when we hear the stories about giant ape men, you know, it's easily understandable why people would pass that story down. Like, take for example Gigantopithecus, the giant prehistoric ape. You know, I mean, looked like Sasquatch, but in all reality, scientists think it was just an oversized orangutan. So it's just fascinating that we're having this, and because of this, Rogan decided to respond.
We have oversized humans too, and we have undersized humans. So it's not that crazy to think that you might have oversized prehistoric creatures as well.
Yes. And by the way, look, BW, yes, Megalodon did exist. Megalodon did exist. And what's rather scary to me is that the most recent Megalodon fossilized tooth dates back 11,000 years ago. So it was kind of around up until then, until there's more data and research. Like, that's kind of like, so it can be theorized that maybe some ancient people or ancient civilization might have seen a giant shark fin in the water and they're like, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to go in the water for today.
Yeah. Well, there's a reason that I think the ocean is one of the scariest places you could ever land.
Oh yeah, of course, man. If you look at everything that was preserved, but Joe Rogan decided to add on his X account, Dragon Believer, because the ladies in the View. Here's the video that's going viral about dragons. So let's go and play it.
People want us divided, and they aren't just here in this country. They're foreign adversaries who are infiltrating our social media because it is prudent for us to stay that way. But so when you see something that really pisses you off, you should triple check that one.
Yeah. But I think that's why people like our show, because they know that we are.
Nobody likes you. Nobody likes you. Don't lie. Don't lie, Joy. And notice how they're saying it's foreign adversaries. So Joe Rogan and that interview about dragons is going to help Putin. Breaking news.
Yeah, like which foreign infiltrator is trying to push a dragon narrative?
I'm gonna blame Xi Jinping. Why are you pointing out Xi Jinping? Because there's dragon statues in China, and the Chinese are trying to manipulate us as dragons. And hey, folks, what would you rather believe in? Okay, flying dragons or people actually watching and liking The View? You know, I'm gonna poll that question in the live stream chat. Let's do that.
Pull that one.
Hold on. Let's hold on. We're gonna rewind this again. Hear Joy lie because people like their show. Get out of
way. So when you see something that really pisses you off, you should triple check that one.
Yeah. But I think that's why people like our show, because they know that we are checked by ABC News. But by everybody. Yeah. I mean, if we're wrong, we have the legal note here.
Yo, that's a burn at her.
Legal.
But we went from Walter Cronkite basically to this guy Joe Rogan who believes in dragons. I checked it. He believes in dragons. He believes in dragons.
Did you
triple force that?
Yes, I did. And he also thinks that dragons, like I guess like dinosaur type of animals, roamed the earth when people did. So this is the type of really, really bad information that's going out there.
Well, in defense, there are some really good
It's possible that Donald Trump did roam the earth when dinosaurs were here.
There are some really good news kind of influencer types, and I think it's great that they're getting information about global and current events in front of younger people who maybe don't tune into traditional media. But to Sarah's point, there has to be some fact checking and actually verification of the things that are shared, because I spend a lot of time on Instagram Reels and I'm served up things that I get outraged about. And then I realize, oh, that's not even true, but I have the sense to go and look it up. But what I do worry about with this, like the blue sky versus X, because a lot of people I follow on X.
I'm going to pause here for a second. All right. First of all, again, that interview that Joe Rogan did, nowhere in there does he say, oh, yeah, dragons are real. Don't question anything. No, it is an interesting theory. Nick, how are you feeling, my friend?
I just like these clowns, and I've got two really strong thoughts about this. The first one is people who watch The View, I think 90% of them hate watch it. And then the other 10% of people just have it on in the background while they're doing household chores. There's no way people tune in here and think that they're getting any kind of relevant information, maybe a dialogue. Second thought is, I think that she needs to reset her Instagram algorithm so she's not fed all of this fake news. And then I actually do have a third thought, bonus thought for everyone. When someone is saying fact checking, that's censorship. Fact check yourself. Don't let someone else fact check for you.
Yes, and who checks the fact checkers from good friend of the show, Roger Meadows? Because you can fact check, but gee, let's talk about some fact checks. The Hunter Biden laptop story was dismissed by quote unquote 51 or 54 CIA experts. There's that whole conspiracy thing was Russiagate. Then there was weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. Oh well, then let's talk about election integrity in the United States. All this stuff about fact checking. This is a reaction was what we covered on November 5th. And the thing is, we were proven correct that this was going to happen. If Trump wins, all these media people are going to be collectively melting down. I mean, this Trump derangement syndrome is a disease, and by proxy, they're aiming after Joe Rogan because of the successful interview he did with Donald Trump and JD Vance, which got a lot of views and eyeballs about the Trump campaign, and whereas in comparison, Kamala got a whopping 0.
And all with the same playbook. This is what blows my mind. I honestly thought after this election, the mainstream media was going to be forced to reckon with how they have performed and how they have brought people to news. But instead, what we're seeing is digging in like this, using the same playbook to smear people and try to discredit them, now to the point where we're doing it with stories of dragons. And then you've got these news stations that are just basically either Morning Joe sucking up to Trump and kissing the ring. You've got, which I think we'll talk about later, you've got MSNBC being spun off, like all these things that are happening now. And there's still no retro on why this keeps happening. And they just double down and keep, throwing out these crazy accusations. It's just like, how much longer can they do this in this business model? I just don't see it.
I'm making a prediction that The View is either they're going to be shutting down, or there's going to be a big shakeup in the host, because you got Sunny, you have Joy, and then you have Whoopi. All right, it's only going to be a matter of time, because as we have covered in the past, MSNBC and CNN are hemorrhaging viewership, and so what's the only thing that's right now going to get them views? Attacking people more popular than them. Let's continue on with the rest of this crap show. Hold on, folks. It gets dumber.
Twitter have now left to go to Blue Sky. I worry we're all going into our own echo chamber. So we had this, this election that was tense. Donald Trump won, and the right is going to stay on X, and then the left is all going to be on Blue Sky. How do we try to talk to each other?
Unfortunately, I will have to say, the other side, I think, has driven people away because it's not just discourse. It's nasty name calling and coming after your family and I'm going to do this to you. And I don't think anyone should have to take that from anybody if they don't have to. So I think a lot of Republicans who also are getting that because they have opinions that may differ from what is being said. They're moving as well because, and I know why also, because, as I believe, Elon Musk is the actual vice president.
Oh, wow. No, he's not. Okay, so what's crazier? Joe Rogan doing that interview about a guy who has a theory that maybe there could have been a dragon-type creature, let's say a hypothetical animal, right? Or either that now, The View spewing out conspiracy theories that Elon Musk is Woogie Boogie Boogie, the VP of these United States. Hey, ABC, you doing your fact-checking with your hosts? Nick, the floor is yours. Elon Musk is secretly the VP.
To quote Trump, I don't think she knows what she said there. And or I guess I don't know what she said there, and I don't think she knows what she said there either. That's the quote. But I think that Whoopi is sensationalizing. I think she's having a breakdown. I think she really believes that this is the end. Like I mean, to sit there and say Elon Musk, Trump is already sick of Elon Musk. You can tell in the way he's commenting about him being there at Mar-a-Lago. You can hear all of the little leaks coming out that, he hasn't left and, he's flying around and spending all this time with Trump. Like, that's all Trump setting the stage for you're out. So if he makes it to Inauguration Day, I'd be surprised at this point. But, Whoopi's just, there's nothing critical. There's no wheels even turning up there anymore. It's just crazy to me how she has no interesting ideas to say whatsoever.
Yeah, and then this whole idea about the left or liberals going to blue sky. Look, I'm going to make a controversial statement here, but blue sky is going to implode under its own cancel culture because it's 2017 Twitter there, and even Rob Reiner, the big old fathead, who infamously tweeted out a long time ago when Biden got elected in office, "Hang on, kids. We're going to get you out of those cages." No, that never happened, fathead or meathead or whatever he's called. That never happened. And the thing is, no, Twitter isn't right-wing or extremes because we're there. We're still there. A lot of our colleagues and progressives and fellow left-leaning independents are still there on X. Everybody's still using it. Everybody's still there. It's only these triggered Hollywood celebrities that are saying that they're leaving. But Blue Sky is no different because they're Blue Sky is a whole other story. I did a segment about it on yesterday's show, but I do have something pretty groundbreaking here because Joe Rogan himself also responded. Not only did he tweet out that he's a dragon believer, but he's a dragon owner. We have official footage of Joe Rogan with an actual dragon. I honestly, AI art's getting out of control.
That's some pretty real looking evidence to me.
Where are the dragon emojis in my chat? Where are they? I demand to see them in the chat like right now. And hold on, Teddy G is also writing, who is the brainchild of Blue Sky? Well, that's old Jackie Boy himself, and he left it because he realized he created a crap platform too. Because you just can't remake something, and assume people are just gonna take it over the original. I mean, X is iconic, and we're actually gonna be talking about X later on. But this is where we're at as a society, as a people, where we have The View attacking Joe Rogan because of dragons, beautiful, magical dragons. So, folks, I better see when I clip this video segment. Do you believe in dragons? Well, Hard Lens Media believes in dragons. And as our great prophet Cat Williams once said, because this is actually 2024 is the year of the dragon. And what did Cat Williams once say?
All lies will be exposed.
The Dragon Files will be released. That's what's going to happen.
With now, do you think it'll be before or after UFO Files?
You know what? I think it's going to come out before the UFO files. That's what's going to happen.